on the line this year.
It's a good one, and I'm going to keep it in the same conference with you. Mine's James Franklin. I think there are big expectations. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Countdown 304. I know it's been a little bit. Hunter and I took a little bit of a break. We were in the dead part of sports, right? NBA ended, NHL ended. The Olympics were going on, fun to watch. Some crazy stuff to happen in the Olympics. Last time I think we were on a show, we talked about Leon Edwards' fight. He lost. Adesanya lost in the 305. So a couple things have gone on since then. The Olympics, interesting. A lot of cool events. I really like the canoeing event, by the way. The canoeing event, that was really... It was actually pretty dope. Canoeing, Noah Lyles getting to run. Swimming was pretty fun to watch. Basketball was pretty interesting, and towards the end, Steph Curry was fun to watch. Steph Curry, LeBron, and KD all together were fun. But overall, as basketball came to an end, NHL came to an end, the Olympics had come to an end, WWE's at its high point, college football has returned, ladies and gentlemen. It has finally returned.
Yeah. We're back to the good stuff now. We're done with this whole the Olympics. Yeah, I told you we were going to win. Shocker. We always win summer. I mean, we destroyed everybody. Let's be honest. The medal count wasn't even close. We won by 30-some medals? Ooh.
It's like 126 to 90 something.
Yeah, we won. Yeah, we
in total medals.
Slaughtered. Done.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have new reformed conferences, right? As it comes to college football this year, Pac-12 has been diminished. Now it's only Oregon State and Washington State. Yeah, it's the Pac-2.
I don't know why they didn't join another conference, by the way. That still bugs me. Like, why? Why would you stay?
I don't know. You have more teams joined the Big 12. You have. I'm gonna go on a far limb that Stanford should not be in the ACC. I got no business being in the ACC.
Yeah, I don't understand that move either. I think Stanford should have joined us.
Stanford and Cal, I think. I don't know why they're in the ACC.
I don't know either. That makes no sense to me.
They should join the Big 12 if they were going to join anybody. But whatever. So we got revamped conferences this year. No more East and West and your Big 10 or SEC.
Yeah.
That's gone. Because there's too many teams now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to talk about this year. A lot to talk about. We really do have a bunch to jump into. Not only for West Virginia, that's coming up against Penn State soon, and their season, but we got to talk about Georgia, Ohio State, what's their expectations. There's just so much we got to dive into, so much information that we're going to talk about. And plus, at the end of the episode today, we're going to talk about a little special for a player who was very, very special to the West Virginia Mountaineers and his retirement. So we will talk about him here later on in the episode. But Hunter, this year, looking around the conferences, right? We know who our big dogs are going to be, but
oh yeah.
Do you have any sleepers? Do you have any sleepers for this year?
I got 3, and I think they're not getting the recognition they deserve. Is what I mean by sleeper. I mean, yeah, they're all in the Big 4, Power 4 now conferences. Pac-12's gone, so there's no Power 5. There's only Power 4 now. So, one is Miami, only because of Cam Ward. If Cam Ward would have went to Ohio State like I thought he was going to, Ohio State already has national championship roster. If you had Cam Ward over Howard, I would already be telling you I'm going to Caesars right now and I'm betting. I'm betting on Ohio State to win it all. But I think Miami, Mario Cristobal, though, is always one of those coaches that are so if he gets his head out of his butt and actually coaches smart and not stupid, Miami's a threat in the ACC. Texas is a threat in the SEC. I feel like Texas is getting overlooked. Quinn Ewers coming back really makes me believe that Texas has a chance. Now, will they get I expect them to make the playoff, obviously. Can they compete with the SEC? That's the big question. Offensively, yes. Defensively, that's where my question mark is. And my third team is Kansas in the Big 12. I think Daniels coming back. Now, I don't know what kind of weapons Kansas is going to have. I don't know what kind of defense the Big 12 is going to be now because I think high-powered offense with outscoring everybody, I think that's over. I think eventually you're going to see Big 12 playing defense. I expect that to shift. With teams like Utah and Colorado and stuff, those guys got to start playing defense if we're going to compete with other conferences. But those are my three sleepers.
Yeah, I agree with you with Cam Ward. Cam Ward at Miami, Mario Cristobal, he really needed a quarterback like Cam Ward. He's been dying for a quarterback like him, and just a little bit of time. Miami needs they needed a rejuvenation. You know what I mean? They need somebody who can run an offense effectively, and Cam Ward is pretty much that guy to do it now. Mario Cristobal can't be making coaching mistakes in football games. Cannot cost themselves football games like he did last year.
He did the dumbest, stupidest play calls I've ever seen, dude. I mean, I don't know what he's going. If I was coaching, I wouldn't even have told you that. Like, I wouldn't even have told anyone to do half the stuff he did. I don't know what he's thinking.
When it comes to Kansas, though, for the Big 12, I like Daniels. He's a good quarterback, but he's just been so injury prone over his career. Like, yes, I feel the same way with another team I'll talk about here later, but and another quarterback who I think is just exactly like him in the situation, right? But
yeah.
Daniels he's got the running ability, he's got the passing ability, he has like kind of an it factor to him. Like, he can get it done. He's probably the best. He's probably one of the best quarterbacks I've seen in Kansas. But
absolutely,
he just can't keep himself out of the injury problems, which is sad.
He's got to this year though. I mean, that's the only thing. That's why I call him sleeper. If he can stay healthy, I think Kansas can be right there in the Big 12.
Right. So I got a couple sleepers of my own.
Of course you do.
The first one is not. A lot of people technically wouldn't say it's a sleeper. However, on a national scale, on the levels of the last 3 to 4 years, right? We've talked about Georgia. Georgia's been at back-to-back championships, right?
Yeah.
They won back-to-back. Ohio State's been to a championship. They lost it, but they went to the college football playoff and played great. Ohio State always had expectations. Look where Michigan's been in the last couple years. Look where these other squads, Alabama, where all these teams are going to be at. Everybody has forgot, since Trevor Lawrence's departure, about Clemson. Now, Clemson had DJ. I'm never going to butcher his last name.
Calling you.
Who's at Florida State? I don't know why he ever went to Oregon State. That was a dumb decision. He should never went there.
Good there, though, man. Like, he played great.
He played, but I think he's better. I think he's better in a Mike Norvell system anyway. So I think for Florida State, that's perfect for him. But Clemson has struggled. Now, Dabo Swinney does not play in the NIL. He's just like John Calipari in basketball. Normally, he does not play in NIL, and he hasn't. And Dabo still puts effective teams together. Now, as a global stature, I think that Clemson is a sleeper because experience of coaching in big-time games. Cade Klubnik is on his next another experienced year, right? Growing. They have a good run game. They have a solid defense, solid receiving core. And for the ACC with Florida State, I know that Florida State added DJ. I know that they have some talent, but they don't got what they had last year. They don't got a Keon Coleman and a Johnny Wilson. They don't have a stud defense. Yes, they have a couple guys on the D line that are pretty good, but they don't have the studdish defense that they had last year. And Miami, yes, we like Cam Ward, but still, we have got tons of question marks. No Drake May in North Carolina. We've got Pitt that's kind of a disaster. Syracuse has got Kyle McCord, who's an absolute wreck from Ohio State. Okay, so Clemson, this is their conference to win. This is their time to take back the ACC. That is why I picked this team. This team could easily sneak in the top 10 and nobody notice it. They could easily sneak in. They could easily sneak in the top 10. For my second team, this is a surprising one and going to be a shocking one for you. Would be West Virginia Mountaineers. And the reason I am going with WVU, everybody kind of expects a drop-off here. Now, I don't expect a great game against Penn State. There are fans that expect a drop-off here because we have not seen, the heights and levels of what Neil Brown can do. But Garrett Green, experience. Hudson Clement, experience. CJ Donaldson, quit running like a running back and just run. Just run the football, dude. Just run, hit the hole and go, man. They have a great secondary running back in White. This team, offensively, with a good offensive line and a pretty a defense that people expect to be better this year. We got that
transfers.
guy. We got some transfers this year. Jordan Leslie, we expect high expectations from him. Now, personally, to me, I don't expect high expectations against Penn State. Okay,
No,
that I'm not expecting. But when I'm looking at the Big 12, when I'm looking at the schedule, when I look against teams like against Pitt, even right, when I look against Kansas State, when I look against Kansas, I think that we have a good shot, and I think that this is a perfect opportunity for us to eclipse the top 25. Top 25 at some point. I think this is the perfect time for us to beat a good winning record team because we're going to have multiple winning record teams out throughout this year, and this is going to be the best team he has ever had at WVU. So let's see what he can do with it. Let's see what he can do with it. That's why I picked WVU. And my third team also is in the Big 12. It would be UCF.
Yeah, come on.
UCF, and here's why. UCF has an advantage here. They have an advantage over everybody else in the Big 12, especially with the RPO. They have every advantage to run the RPO. KJ Jefferson, transfer from Arkansas. An incredible runner of the football, and he's a pretty decent passer on the outside. Also, UCF retained their running backs. They retained good running backs, still have a good wide receiving core, still have a good offensive line. I'm not saying their defense is going to be top tier, but their offense can match. Their offense can match anybody in that Big 12.
Okay.
This year.
The only reason I'm going to give you a pass about UCF is because you said the one guy I love. And that's KJ Jefferson. You know me, I've loved KJ since Arkansas.
That's the only reason, but that is a huge reason of why I'm putting UCF in this topic, because we got to pay attention to this kid now. This kid, okay, I'm just going to say this, and this is KJ Jefferson. Yes, he didn't have the greatest career at Arkansas, but Arkansas is not a very good football team. Let's just get it down. They're not that great of a football program.
He started as like a sophomore, didn't he?
Right.
It was he was in a 2-quarterback system. Both quarterbacks were good. And Arkansas actually went to like a good bowl game. And then his junior year, everyone left him. And his junior year, he had no help around him. And now that's why he left.
Right. But this is what's going to be incredible. He's versed very, very experienced defenses in the Big 12. In the SEC. He's gone against very tough defenses. Now he's also adding himself to, they have a good receiving core, right? They got a couple good receivers at UCF. They got a good running game, and they got a pretty solid offensive line. So he is adding, he's going to be able to play against less strong defenses in the Big 12. They can explode on the RPO like crazy. They could run the RPO up and down the field. Now, it all depends on their schedule and who they're going to face. If they face a team like Utah, there's different things that are going to happen there. Utah is a defensive demon, right? They are different defensively. However, for most teams in the Big 12, most of them, the RPO is going to be hard to stop. That's kind of why West Virginia had a big advantage, right? That's why Garrett Green had a big advantage. The RPO got tough to stop. It's tough to stop. So it's perfect for UCF, and it's perfect for their advantage to possibly, I'm not saying elevate to a college football playoff or anything like that, but elevate themselves in the Big 12 to a high stature. I think they have every advantage to do that offensively. And let's see, like they put up against a great run game last year against WVU. They gave WVU some trouble on the defensive side of the ball with the run game. Their run game has always been heavy. Now you're adding a quarterback that's got, SEC. This is basically you're taking Bo Nix from Auburn and throwing him in an Oregon. Okay, this is what happens when you're taking KJ Jefferson at Arkansas and throwing him in at UCF. And he's played these championship level defenses, tough defenses. They've played in Alabama. He's played in LSU. He's played Georgia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People who got tough defenses, and now this is a perfect moment for him to take advantage of all that and all that experience. So that's why UCF. So Clemson, UCF, WVU. My three sleepers.
I like KJ. I've always been a KJ Jefferson fan, so I will let that slide because of him.
But so, all right, let's talk about the Big Ten, right? Because the Big Ten and the SEC kind of got like a revamp this year. Big Ten especially got a lot more teams. Now we could jump into the Big 12, but I think as a whole, the Big 12 is kind of hard to follow because you got not everybody's going to play each other, not everybody's seeing each other, and to me, I mean, you got Colorado who joined, right? You got Arizona, you got
Arizona
Utah,
State.
you got Arizona State. So I want to get into the Big 12 later because that is a WVU level personal thing that, we got to talk about with the Big 12. The Big 12 is a later subject, but your Big 10, your SEC are the two ones that everybody's going to talk about. This is your AFC and your NFC. This is what we're talking about here. So when we're looking at the Big 10, I think me and you obviously could say that Ohio State and Oregon are the top dogs. Penn State looking in, Michigan, they're not going to be where they were, obviously, and everybody else is around.
I don't think Washington. I think Washington's going to dip this year. I don't think Washington.
I think they'll be bad. I think they'll be horrible this year.
I don't think they're going to be horrible. I'm not going to go that far, but I think that they're going to be 8-4, 7-5. I think they'll make a bowl game, but losing your head coach, dude, and also Michael Penix Jr.
They lost a lot of players too.
Yeah,
they lost a lot of dudes. They lost their entire receiving core.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't expect Washington to be elite.
No, so if I don't want to talk about Ohio State yet or Oregon, right? Because we know what that is. We know what those two teams are right now.
Oh yeah,
we know.
Oh yeah.
But for the other teams in that conference, right? Can we expect? Okay, I'm not saying like a national championship or college football playoff, but can we see somebody that's interesting? Can we see a team that maybe could run up through and nobody expects it? I mean, is there a team that maybe comes to your mind in the Big Ten that could just sneak in and surprise everybody a little bit with their football play this year?
There's two. Luke Fickell, Wisconsin. I can see Wisconsin being a problem. Wisconsin gives me that vibe. Another team that gives me that vibe is Minnesota. I think PJ Fleck is a great coach. I like PJ Fleck probably more than anybody. If Minnesota can establish that run game and they start using play action passing like they should, it drives me nuts that they don't, but they should. I feel like those two teams could stand out. I'm not saying they're going to, but those are two teams that come to my mind that can surprise people.
Right. What? It is a tough question because, I mean, there's like in the Big Ten, especially the SEC, I think is easier to talk about with this topic because
the Big Ten,
it's like 3-4 teams here, like up here,
and everybody else is
else is like way down here. So it doesn't really add up.
I'm not going to say Iowa. Their offense pisses me off every year. That offense just drives me nuts.
I'm gonna say it, and I know you might disagree with me, and I know you might hate it, and you're not sure about it, but I've got to roll with Matt Rule. I've got to think it's somewhere along the lines that he as an improvement season he had last year with that quarterback that was horrible, by the way. That guy was awful. For the improvement, I think he can have an improvement year.
I think this is his first year coaching, isn't it? I don't think he coached last year.
No, he did.
I think
he was coached last year. Mm-hmm. He played Colorado last year. He's coach. This will be his second or third year. This is his second year, actually. This is his second year.
I'm gonna say I'm not gonna say that because I think he needs at least 2 years, and he's got a freshman quarterback this year, man. So that's really hard. And the only reason I'm saying that's hard is because you're gonna throw a freshman into a pack of wolves.
Right.
Like, you're going to throw him against Penn State. You're going to throw him against Oklahoma. Or Oregon, sorry, not Oklahoma. You're going to throw him against Ohio State. You're going to throw this kid against top elite teams. I don't see it. Not this year.
So that's one of my team. The other team that I look at, and man, I know it's going to piss you off because it always does.
Don't say it. Don't even.
I got to ride with Lincoln Riley. I mean, I just got to ride with Lincoln Riley, dog. I mean, like, the dude is magnificent. He's one of the best offensive. He's a top two or three offensive coach in college football. I mean, like.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this one time.
He's had 3 Heisman quarterbacks.
And you'll never hear me talk about him again. All I hear every time I hear this man's name, oh, his offense is so great. Oh, his offense is amazing. Yeah, ask him about his defensive side of the ball.
Oh, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying offensively he can keep up with anybody.
It just goes to waste because he can't win shootouts against teams with great defenses. Which is why when he goes to the Big Ten and they shut down his little offense, and he's gonna have to play defense, he gonna crumble. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I don't trust that little sophomore freshman, whenever he has Zach Moss, to do anything against these elite defenses. I'm telling you right now, you put him against Ohio State's defense, I bet you $5, 3 picks already.
Dude, listen. I'm just gonna say this. You put more than 75% of the country against their defense this year. It's a wrap. I'm telling you. That is if I would I'm as far to say that is probably the best secondary in all of college football. There's nobody that's got a better secondary than Ohio State.
I'm going to take it one step further. I think Ohio State on paper has got the best defense in the damn country. And I am not a Buckeye fan by any means. But I am a fair fan. And
I wouldn't be surprised if Caleb Downs gets drafted in the top 10 next year. That dude is elite.
I think Caleb Downs might stay another year if they don't win the Natty. But
if they don't, I think he goes. If they go to the national championship, I think he goes.
No, if they don't win, I think he stays another year.
But either way, so that would be the Big Ten. I know it's like it's hard to talk about, but
highest
the Big
State,
Ten's
Oregon,
a little tougher.
State, and that's it. I'm not even going to count Washington.
Right.
You got
all right. SEC.
I'll count Michigan just because they're defending national champions, but we don't know the quarterback situation yet, so
right.
I'll get 4.
SEC. There's a lot more teams to talk about in the SEC.
Oh, jeez, dude. I need 6 of them pop in my head.
I need 2.
6. You need 2? Oh, dude, 2's hard.
I need 2. 2?
All right.
Okay, here. I'm going to wrap this question again. You can't, the teams you cannot put in this conversation.
Don't say Georgia and Bama.
Georgia and Alabama cannot be talked about.
Well, they're givens, that's why. Texas can't be talked about?
They're number 3 in the country. I mean,
okay. So Texas is
I'm talking about. I'm not talking because those 3 at least are expectation to possibly win SEC. I'm talking about the sleepers of the SEC.
That's easier. Okay, that's easier.
The sleepers of the SEC. That's what I'm talking about.
2 teams: Ole Miss, LSU. I love Ole Miss. I love Jackson Dart more than anybody. I am a huge Dart man. I think that kid's awesome. I am upset Judkins did not stay with him. I'm very upset about that. But LSU and Ole Miss have got to be the next 2 teams. I got Oklahoma. No, I don't see Oklahoma.
I'm going to take out your LSU pick.
What? Why?
I would put in Missouri with Brady Cook.
Okay, bud. Okay.
I would put in Missouri with Brady Cook.
Okay, now you lost me.
Very experienced team.
No.
He's going to be better than any quarterback LSU got this year. Brady Cook will be better than that quarterback this year. Brady Cook was a stud. Cook was a stud last year.
Yeah, you want to know why? Because they had my cousin Cody Schrader as a running back.
Well, maybe it don't matter though. Yeah. I don't care. Brady Cook looked good last year.
I can't put Missouri over LSU, buddy. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't. I got to have LSU in there, dog. I can't.
Now, we talked to I got Ole Miss and Missouri. You got Ole Miss and LSU. Now, the team that we got to talk about that is in none of these conferences, by the way, the team that I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I despise I hate them. I really do.
Don't you dare say it. They better not start with N and D. Their initials better not.
I hate Notre Dame. I just no. I don't. Oh my God, this team. Notre Dame's in the top 10. They're in the top 10. They're in preseason top 10. Oh yeah, that's because apparently right. They got a good offense last year. They added Riley Leonard. So, ladies and gentlemen, Riley Leonard was the quarterback I'm talking about that is like Daniels in Kansas, right? Riley Leonard. But here's the difference. Here's what separates Daniels and Leonard. I think Daniels is more accurate than Leonard.
I think Daniels is more
accurate. Throw the football.
I think Daniels is more accurate, and Daniels is more mobile. Riley Leonard's not very mobile. He's very slow. Notre Dame as a whole, yeah, I do not like them at all. I can't stand that team. That is the team I hate the most in college football. And here's why. One, join a conference. Quit this crap. Quit playing your own little, hand-picked schedule to get you into get you in the bowls, get you in the
Well, they ride
playoffs,
the
do all of it.
ACC on their best years. They always ride the ACC on their best year. When they have the best team, they ride the ACC. And you know what? They don't play Clemson. They never play Clemson.
Of course not.
No.
No, they played Clemson once. I remember them playing Clemson once, and I think they beat Clemson. But that's when they had DJU, and he didn't fit Clemson's play style.
Nope.
That's why they beat him. I don't like Notre Dame. I'm 100% with you. I will never stick up for this team at all. If they did something good, I'm going to just dissect them until they look bad. I cannot stand Notre Dame. Can't do it.
All right.
They don't earn my respect.
So we highlighted two sleepers, pretty much Big Ten, SEC, and then we talked a little bit about Notre Dame today. And I want to talk about the top 10, right? And I just want to do top 10. So I'm going to list off who's in the top 10, and we could just have it at that, right? And just discuss, do we think this team should be higher or lower, right? We could just, or who do we think is going to last? Okay, so.
Okay, now hold on, wait a second. When you say higher, do you mean higher up in the rankings or lower in the rankings?
Both. So we think, say, for example, I'll just take it right now. Notre Dame's at 7. Do I think that Florida State at 10 should be higher ranked than them? That's what I'm saying. And they should come back down. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
They should be behind somebody else.
Gotcha.
So,
all
okay.
Right. Go ahead.
All right. So, Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Oregon 3, Texas 4, Alabama 5, Ole Miss 6, Notre Dame 7, Penn State 8, Michigan 9, Florida State 10. And now I will highlight, I think this is important for us to highlight at least 11 through 14. I think this is important for this conversation for us to highlight these. Missouri at 11, Utah at 12, LSU at 13, and Clemson at 14. Now, the reason I added those other 4 teams in, right, is because we can discuss whether somebody else there deserves to be in the top 10, or they should be, one of those teams should be looking in, and somebody else shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying there? Should be looking into the top 10. So, looking at this list, I did on my other podcast, I did a preseason ranking, right? Before they ever released it. I said that I would take Oregon at 3 over Texas.
I agree with that.
I said Oregon should be there. I do love that they dropped Notre Dame down because they had Notre Dame at 5, and I'm glad they dropped them behind Alabama and Ole Miss. I was so upset when they did that.
Notre Dame didn't even do anything last year, though. That's my thing. What did they do?
Not a whole bunch.
Yeah, so why are they so high ranked?
I am happy that they did add Penn State in the top 10 because they had Penn State at 12. They had Penn State at 12. They had Penn State at 12. They had Missouri in the top 10. They had 9. They had Missouri at 9. They had Missouri at 9, Michigan at 10, Florida State was at 11, and I think Utah was in. Utah was in the top 10.
You got to have the defending champs in the top 10.
I think, like I said, they're just in there because they won championship, based on respect, right?
Yeah, but you have to have that. Yeah, you have.
Right. I don't think they are top 10 worthy this year. I think they're top 5. I think they're probably between 11 and 20.
Notre Dame should not be in the top 10. Notre Dame should not be in the top 10.
I think they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 completely right.
I do too.
I would take Penn State at 7.
Yeah.
This is gonna be tough because I would put Michigan at 10. I would put Michigan at 10.
I put
just
Utah
based on the respect
because they won the Pac-12 last year.
Yeah, I would take Notre Dame out. I would drop Florida State out too. I would put in.
I would.
I say, and I know this is terrible to say here, but Utah. So I would take Notre Dame and Florida State out. I drop Michigan to 10, which then leaves us with 8 and 9, right? For opening positions. I'm putting Utah at 8. And I'm going to go a stretch here, but Yeah, I'd probably put Missouri at 9. That is here's the reason why,
They just
because
went to Cotton Bowl, didn't they?
yes, and here
They beat Ohio State last year in the Cotton Bowl, didn't they?
they beat Ohio State at some point. I think they did.
Oh yeah,
Pretty sure
because Ohio State sat everybody. They destroyed them, I think.
Yeah. So here's my deal with Missouri. They've got. Do I think they're going to stay in top 10? No. But do I think they deserve the top 10 ranking? Yes. Because Florida State, we got questions about them. We got legitimate questions about Florida State. Listen, I'll be the first one to tell you I got legitimate questions about Notre Dame. I mean, I got legitimate questions about them every single season. Michigan, they're in there because they are the champs, right? Defending champs. They deserve the respect. I think 10 is perfect for them. I think 10 is in the right spot for them. 10 is perfect for them. Utah has great defense, and Cam Rising is on the upcome. Cam Rising is going to be a good quarterback this year.
And they won the Pac-12 last year, I think, too.
Not last year. Washington won the Pac-12 last year.
Oh, that's right.
They won the Pac-12 the year before.
That's right.
They won the
Pac-12. What did Utah do last year?
They had a great defense and a terrible offense. Their offense was awful last year.
Oh, yeah, because Cam Rising got hurt.
Right, so Cam Rising is back this year.
Yeah.
So I think I think you got to put them at 8, and I think Missouri just has to go in at 9 just because of their offense and the explosion they can have. But other than that, I think I would say the top 25 is right. Top 10 is right, sorry. Okay. I know that was a little quick, but we gotta jump into head coaching expectations. Head coaching expectations. Well, we're gonna bounce one off each other, okay? We both got 3. We both picked 3 coaches that we have expectations for this year. So I want you to give me your first one.
My first one's Ryan Day.
Explain why.
He's got to win the Natty, dude. This is it. This is championship or he's fired. And I hate to say that, but it's true. Ohio State has way too much expectations, and for the last 3 years, he got beat by Michigan. He's always stubbed his toe. And I know he went to a national championship. He got destroyed, which isn't his fault. That team was God tier. No one was beating that team. I mean, Jalen Waddle on one freaking foot got
right,
insane. But no, there are standards at Ohio State, and he has not met them by any means. And this is it. This is the best roster. This championship team on paper. This is a championship team. And if he does not go to the Natty with this team, if he doesn't even win a conference championship with this team, he's done. This is his job on the line this year.
It's a good one, and I'm going to keep it in the same conference with you. Mine's James Franklin. I think there are big expectations for James Franklin. I think with the departure of Jim Harbaugh, Ryan Day and James Franklin's jobs just got a lot harder because James Franklin has not beaten Ohio State since 2017. James Franklin has an experienced Drew Allar in the backfield. He's got Nick Singleton coming out in the running back position. They have a solid tight end position, and their defense is still pretty solid. Penn State has expectations. Penn State has lost to Michigan and Ohio State multiple years at the same time, right? For both teams, they've gone 10-2 multiple times over the last couple years. It's time for Penn State to get a win. They can't afford to lose to Michigan this year. They can only afford to lose to Ohio State if it's a close game, if it's a close finish. If it's a field goal finish, they can afford to lose to Ohio State. Penn State has got a lot of pressure on their back. They have a lot to prove this year. And I think with this team, this experience, James Franklin, listen, I love the guy. I think he's a great coach. For people saying he deserves to be, for people saying he should have been fired years ago or wrong, Urban Meyer is a tough coach. Number one, he was the best coach in the Big Ten. Jim Harbaugh is also a one of a kind college football coach. James Franklin has done a great job at Penn State. I would feel differently about his position if he had beaten Ohio State and Michigan at least one or twice, switched off every couple years. You know what I mean? At least, but it's been too long since Saquon Barkley went to the National Football League. It has been too long. He needs to get a win. I think if he beat Ohio State this year, right? If he beat Ohio State, I think that would be a better stature than anything.
Yeah.
I think that just helps him. But I think he's got a good team, good experience. I'm saying James Franklin in the Big Ten.
I agree with you. I do think he can beat Michigan this year. I do think he can beat Michigan. I think they both play at Penn State too, if I'm not mistaken. Ohio State and Michigan both have to get it.
Yeah, I think so.
Penn State.
Pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that.
Well, this is funny because I have another coach in the same conference, and that would be Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning is my second guy. Oregon just got Dylan Gabriel. You went to the conference championship last year. You came up short. Oregon has high expectations in football. They always have. They always will. You're in the Big Ten. You host Ohio State in Eugene, West Coast. Ohio State's never been in that environment ever. Dan Lanning has to make it to the college football playoff this year for him to keep his job. That's where the expectation's at. Now, is Oregon a national championship team on paper? I don't know. Because their defense, that's always the question mark when you watch Oregon play. They have so much speed and talent on defense, it's insane. But they can't tackle. They can't. I'm sorry, they can't. I've seen them. They can't. But that is another coach with high expectations and high standards that he has to meet this year. If he makes the college football playoff, which I'm pretty sure Oregon will. I don't understand with 12 teams how Oregon doesn't. But Dylan Gabriel, this is the best offensive system, by the way, that he's ever going to play in. Everyone said that about Oklahoma. No, this guy fits this system better than he did in Oklahoma, 100%. I'll stand by that. But no, Dan Lanning is another guy that has to get to the college football playoff this year, or he might be gone.
I'm going to go with, so that is a good point, right? Dan Lanning he had a great season last year, but he failed to beat Washington. He failed to beat Washington twice. He failed twice on beating Washington. It's what cost him last year. They had a great team last year. It's what cost him. You had Bo Nix. Now you got Dylan Gabriel. It's time to get the job done. It's time to get some wins. Time to get at least let's at least get to the college football playoff. At least we can
at least win 12. A big game. At least win some big games.
Okay, so another coach that I think is in. He's not now. This is a different conference. Okay.
Oh wow! Finally.
Another coach that I think is on the same stature is Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin is. I think Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Here's been the problem with Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin won a national championship as the offensive coordinator at Alabama. Lane Kiffin has experience in the SEC. Lane Kiffin has one of the best offenses in football. Now, why has Lane Kiffin gotten a pass? Well, here's why everybody gets a pass in the SEC. Here's why Mark Stoops keeps a job at Kentucky. Here's why a lot of these guys retain their jobs at other schools. Because you had Nick Saban. Nick Saban ran the SEC. You have Kirby Smart, who runs the SEC. Now, Nick Saban is gone. Nick Saban is not there anymore. Kirby's still around, yes. But Nick Saban is not dominating the West anymore. There's no Western domination. Lane Kiffin has as good of an offense as anybody else to make a run. Jackson Dart's a good quarterback. They revamped on the defense. They went out and got transfer guys from defense. Their defensive line should be pretty solid this year. If he has even an inch of a good defense, you know what I mean? Even a whiff of a good defense, Lane Kiffin could make big noise. Because his offense, they can drop 60, 70 points just like that, right? But if they have nobody, it's like LSU. They played LSU last year. They kept up with LSU the whole game. They had but LSU didn't play defense either, but they had nobody to stop. Nobody could make us stop. If he can find somebody that can make us stop, I expect Lane Kiffin to maybe make some noise for a college football playoff. He could. I'm not saying he's going to remain in top 10 because I think it's going to be tough. But I think a 10 to 15 right there, right in that range for him, that's perfect. That's a perfect scenario for him. He could creep in there, and I think if he can find a way to make some stops, and for the love of God, when you go play a good defense, Lane, your offense has got to show up because there was so much noise last year. We're going to go down to Alabama. We're going to play Alabama, and we're going to beat them. Dude, you didn't even put up 10. You barely put up 10 points in that football game. Like that defense shut you down. That's the same thing that's going to happen if you face a team like Georgia. You cannot go against at least a good defense and shut down. Your offense cannot shut down. His offense cannot shut down. So I expect a big year for Lane Kiffin, or at least an improvement year that we're talking about. Hey, Lane's in this conversation. That's how I see it for Ole Miss.
Before the show, I told you I was going to talk about Kirby Smart, but then I changed my mind. I'm not going to say Kirby because Kirby knows Kirby now sets the bar for the SEC. I am going to go with an SEC coach though, and I'm going to go with Steve Sarkisian. You made the move from the Big 12 to the SEC. You have, in my opinion, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in college football this year in Quinn Ewers. You got to make the playoff. You have to. We all know Texas boosters have a high ceiling. They're like the Dallas Cowboys. They expect championships every year. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's realistic, but it's true. I think that's where the Dallas Cowboys actually get it from, to be honest. But anyways, you have a talented team. You got recruits and transfers from small schools, or I should say smaller Power 4 schools, to come to you because you're in the SEC. You have to win. Like, there's no doubt about it. And last year, you made it all the way to the CFP. Top 14. You lost. And it's okay, because you lost to one of the best offensive teams in the entire country. And you gave them a fight. Like, you didn't just roll over. You actually gave them a game. But now it's time, can you win in the SEC? I think he will do good in the SEC. I think the Longhorns are going to be just fine in the SEC. The team I don't think that should have made the jump was Oklahoma. They don't have the coach. They don't have the guys. I think Oklahoma's going to get embarrassed this year. I think they're going to get run over. I don't think Oklahoma's going to compete at all in the SEC.
I mean, so it's hard to be worse than Vanderbilt. I mean, let's be honest with you. It's hard to be worse than them.
I'm betting on Vandy to beat them. I will root for Vandy over Oklahoma. I will, 100%. But no, there are high expectations for Sarkisian now. Like, it's all over. The Big 12's behind you. You got to play with the big boys. You join the big boys. You got to see if he can compete, and you're going to find out. And if he can't, I know Texas. They're going to beat you. Mm-hmm. If he competes, wins, goes to the CFP, he's safe. If not, they're beating him.
Well, Hunter, you took my third one, but
oh, really? Did I really? Oh, sorry.
I
did tell you Kirby at the start, and I kind of lied, so that's kind of my fault.
But here's what I will say on that: he's been to like Lane Kiffin, right? He's been the offensive coordinator for an Alabama team. He has won national championship as the OC in the SEC, right? He's done a lot of special things in the SEC. He also got Isaiah Bond from Alabama last year. Like, he added Isaiah Bond this year as a receiver. Isaiah Bond's a good receiver. They're going to have a good running back in Baxter coming out of the backfield. Isaiah Bond, Quinn Ewers, offensive line. I'm not worried about their offense one bit. I'm worried about their defense. Their defense, start of the season last year, looked incredible. They had that defense at the college football playoff. They probably would have won the whole thing, to be honest with you. They probably would have won the whole thing. But they didn't.
I don't know about that.
No, I'm telling you.
Michigan's defense was just nasty, dog.
I know, but listen, Texas against Alabama last year, they stood up. Their defense stood up. They stood up. And when they stood up, when they played like that, they could beat anybody. Their defense played like that, they could beat anybody. Now, I will switch over and flip. Now, this is going to be a different coach, right? I got to retain quickly to a different coach, but Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney. You got to have expectations for Dabo Swinney. We're talking about a guy who has won 2 national championships in a conference a lesser conference than the Big Ten, the SEC. He's been to 4 national championships. He played against Alabama 3 times and won twice. Played LSU, probably one of the greatest LSU teams to ever get formatted with Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Dabo Swinney has put together great rosters. Deshaun Watson, had Trevor Lawrence, you had T. Higgins, you had DeAndre Hopkins, you had Hunter Renfrow. He's had all these great players, right?
Travis Etienne.
Cade Klubnik has a chance has a chance to make some noise. I expect with the amount of experience that he has as a head coach to be able to lead his team potentially to a college football playoff appearance. And I know we're all going to say you got 4 teams, right, automatically going to win their conference. Well, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, Clemson can win their conference easily.
Clemson winning the ACC.
I do too.
They're back. Clemson's back this year.
Right.
I don't think anyone's going to beat Clemson.
And for Pete, and you know what? I love Paul Feinbaum for what he says about Dabo Swinney.
Oh, he's funny. I love him.
He's a good, yeah. I mean, he makes good takes, but I mean, I'm like, don't run off Dabo just yet. Don't run him off just yet.
I'm not.
You can't. Dabo is the only guy out of all the other conferences right now, right? I think he's the only coach and the only program that could jump to the SEC from the ACC. I don't think there's anybody from the ACC that deserves to come to the SEC outside of Clemson.
I agree with that. Clemson's the most ready.
I think Clemson has earned that right to be able to join the SEC if they want to because of their 2 national championships against SEC opponents.
The number 1 team I have that's not in the SEC that is an SEC school is Ohio State. Ohio State is basically an SEC school playing in the Big Ten.
Michigan was last year.
Oh yeah, Michigan's ridiculous, but I still think Michigan's defense is there again, dude. Michigan's defense is going to be nasty. It's just the quarterback situation. We don't know how good this kid's going to be.
Right. So that is our kind of our head coaches, expectation that head coaches, sleepers. We talked about a lot today. There's been a lot to talk about in this episode, a lot of things we jumped into, and there's going to be a lot more, by the way. I mean, next week is the premiere. Here we go. I mean, yes, we have college football this week, but we don't got the level that we have next week. Next week's going to be insane.
Also, we got to mix this in when the MLB playoffs start and NFL Sunday, too.
Oh, God.
So, we're going to be busy, dude, come fall.
NFL, listen, we got to jump into the NFL here soon. By the way, which is going to be fun because Hunter and I are doing we're in a league of pick'ems this year, ESPN pick'ems. So we can be able to pick every single week. Yeah, so we can be able to pick every single week. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have talked a lot of college football today. We have talked a lot of different things, head coaches, teams, players, things we expect. Now it is time to, I said in the beginning of the episode, we had a special at the end. I would like to congratulate and thank you for everything he did to the college, for WVU in the college football game. That'd be Tavon Wesley Austin. Tavon Austin. He's a wide receiver. He was a wide receiver for West Virginia from, I think it was 2009 to 2012. This guy is one of my all-time favorite players. And I remember growing up as a kid, from ages of 9 to 12 or 13, sorry.
Jeez, you were that young? Damn.
Yeah. I went to the games, right? I watched Tavon Austin. I watched him. I was at the 2012 Oklahoma game where he was the running back, right? I watched all that. I was there. I got to see every bit of it. Tavon Austin retired this past week, hung it up from the NFL. He hung it up from football from good. So I'm just going to real quick read off exactly where he was from. Yeah, obviously he played from West Virginia. So he was from Dunbar High School in Baltimore. He was recruited at Dunbar High School. He was in the NFL, 2013, first round pick, number 8, to the St. Louis Rams, which would be the Los Angeles Rams today. He played from the Rams from 2013 to 2017. He played for the Dallas Cowboys 2018, 2019. He played for the 49ers in 2020. He played for the Packers in 2020. He played for the Jacksonville Jaguars in 21, and he played for the Buffalo Bills in 2022. As highlights and career awards, he's a PFWA All-Rookie Team in 2013. He was a Paul Hornung Award winner in 2012. He was a Jet Award winner in 2012. He's a 2-time First-Team All-American 2011 and 2012. He's a Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Year in 2012. He's a Big East Special Teams Player of the Year in 2011. He's a First-Team All Big 12 in 2012. And he's a First-Team All Big East in 2011. His NFL career stats: he had 244 receptions for 2,000 yards, receiving yards. He had 16 receiving touchdowns, 1,300 rushing yards, 10 rushing touchdowns, 1,900 return yards, and 3 return touchdowns. For his college career, what made Tavon Austin different? 100 big one, Tavon Austin. You know what I mean? This guy special, like DeAnthony Thomas, right, from Oregon. This dude special. What made his career special? His 2009 and 2010 seasons weren't what made Tavon Austin special. His 2011 and 2012 years made him special. In 2011, Tavon Austin played 13 games. He had, in receiving yards, he had 101 receptions for 1,100 yards. He averaged 11 yards per reception. He had 8 touchdowns for receiving. He had 16 carries as a running back, right? He played running back in his junior year. He had 182 yards. He averaged 11 yards a carry for 1 touchdown. His punt returning in 2011. He had 19 attempts for 268 yards. He averaged 14 yards per punt return, and he didn't have any touchdowns that year. 2012 is Tavon Austin, right? Number 1, Tavon Austin. One of the most elite receivers I've ever seen play. One of the fastest players I've ever seen. So I will name it. He played 13 games that season. He had 114 receptions for receiving. He had 1,200 receiving yards. He averaged 11 yards per reception. He had 12 touchdowns. For rushing, he had 72 attempts that year for 643 yards and he averaged 9 yards per carry with 3 touchdowns that year. Tavon Austin was special. He did something different. He not only could play receiver, he could play running back, he played kick returner, he played punt returner. He could play on every offensive position that he needed to play on when it came to speed and making something happen. The thing is, when we look at college stats, we're not just talking about, I named off all the stats right there, right? His junior and his senior year. What made him special? What made Tavon Austin special was how he actually played on the field, was how he impacted a football game. For us fans at West Virginia, it wasn't just the fact that we had Geno, Tavon, and Stedman Bailey play together. It wasn't just that we had just joined the Big 12 and these 3 guys, and especially him, could come into a football game and change the dynamic of the game. For my take for Tavon Austin, thank you for what you did to the college game. Your time in the college game meant more to me than your time in the NFL. You are one of the best college players I've ever seen. You will be in the WVU Hall of Fame soon to come. They will have you in there. You have impacted my life into loving football, and I appreciate everything you've given to the game. Hunter, the floor is yours. I read off what I needed to read off. I said what I said. The floor is yours.
I'm trying not to cry. I don't really cry. First and foremost, I thank him so much for what he did. Choosing Little West Virginia over everybody. I will always love him. I always loved receivers growing up. And the fact that this dude was so small, and he came in as a running back, and he just transitioned to receiver like that. The expression that this is how I always compare Tavon, right? Is every time I give you an inch, you want to take a mile. If you gave Tavon Austin an inch on the field, he got a mile. Tavon was so elusive, he was so fast. I never seen him drop a pass. No one could tackle him. If you got him in open space and it was a foot race, Tavon was gone.
He was Tyreek Hill before Tyreek Hill.
Oh, I agree with that. He was West Virginia's Tyreek Hill, 100%. It don't matter if you doubled him, tripled him. He was burning everybody, and he was gone. He was definitely one of my favorite players. I actually met him in person when he was a freshman. I actually met him. My friend Sam Farley's brother Corey was at WVU, and he was actually a floor above him, and I got to meet him. He is no doubt a WVU Football Hall of Famer. He should be first ballot. If he's not, I'm going to lose it. I love him. I love you, Tavon. Thank you so much, dude, for everything you've done for WVU football. Once an ear, always an ear. And you are, without a doubt, one of the greatest receivers WVU history. and I'm so proud of you for what you've done, man. Thank you.
So, congratulations, Tavon Austin, and for his, the success he had in his college career, and for the time he was in the NFL. Tyree. If he was drafted today, he would be an absolute superstar in an elite offense.
He was ahead of his time, dude. Just like Pat,
Right.
just like Tebow.
Just like all of them, man, right? Just like all of them.
I'm telling you, if you put Pat White and Tim Tebow and Tavon and them guys like that in this day and age, I guarantee you they're thriving.
Right. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, college football is back. We're glad to be back. We have a whole bunch to talk about. NFL coming soon. MLB is coming here. MLB postseason's coming up soon.
Yeah, postseason will be here.
NFL is coming, man. And we got a lot to talk about with the NFL. We're not talking about today, though.
We're not talking about today. Don't bring up you-know-who. We ain't talking about you-know-who at all this year.
We're not talking about him today. But for
college
football,
at all. I don't want to talk about him at all this year.
We will.
No,
we will.
I want to hear his name.
Ladies and gentlemen, the primetime game for this weekend is Florida State versus Georgia Tech. I'm taking Florida State. I can't wait to see how DJ plays. So excited.
Okay. It is in Dublin. That's why I'm only watching this game, because I love Ireland. I want to go there sometime.
But I do want to see DJ play. I got to see DJ play.
I think Georgia Tech's going to give these boys a game for a quarter.
For a quarter. For like 3 minutes.
I'm going to be nice and give Georgia Tech some leeway here. I'm going to say for a quarter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're going to do so much damage over there.
Hey, man, I'm telling you what. Georgia Tech scores 10 points. I'm counting that as a dub.
It's like saying Vanderbilt scoring 10 points when Alabama scores 52 on them. Yeah, they did so much work. I mean,
Vanderbilt chant, we want Bama, and then Bama kill them.
Yeah, and then remember USC came out there at the beginning, like a couple years ago, and they were dancing all over the field and lost like 52-3. Like they got obliterated off the field by Alabama. They're like this, we want Bama, and then they're like this, and then everybody was like this, no, you didn't want Bama. You don't want Bama. Stop. That's what people are going to say about Georgia this year. You don't want them.
I was going to say Bama's going to be. I think Bama dips this year. I mean, by dip, I mean like I see you guys maybe losing 2 to 3 games. I don't think you're going to plummet like everyone else says. I think you'll dip because first-year coach, but you do have Jalen Milroe, and I like Milroe. But, yeah, if I hear someone go, we want Georgia, I'll be like, bro, no, you don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, next week, it's time to talk about WVU and Penn State.
Oh, don't do this to me. I don't want to go into cardiac arrest.
We got a lot to talk about next week. So, anyway, hope you all enjoy it. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. Hope you all enjoyed a little bit of talk, a little bit of preseason before football, and I can't wait to get into it. Long season ahead of us, a lot to talk about. So, anyway, maybe we'll add some more games in. Maybe we can, find a third person who'd be able to jump in with us. Third person, get some more talking.
I can find some people. I can get Ryan.
Your
up
brother,
in here, or Kyle.
Yeah,
Kyle. Ryan, Kyle, Noah. We can get Matt up in here.
So, anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, take care. Hope you have a good weekend enjoying your first week college football.
Like and subscribe.
And we'll see y'all next week.
See you guys.